Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, today we are going to walk through my 2025 book journal. Now, this is the first time in a long time that I'm doing a book journal. I did one maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago and just didn't continue doing it in the following years, but I decided this year that I would like to try because I actually found that it's really good for me, like creatively, to kind of settle into this hobby. Not that it's like mindless, but it feels like one of those things that you can just kind of get lost in, and it felt very relaxing to me. So I'm glad I decided to do it this year. The notebook I am using is from Maisie Lane Company, and I actually think this company no longer is in existence, but I've had this journal for a very long time. And as you can see, I have kept up with all of the books that I've read over the last 9 years now, and I decided to keep my book journal in the same journal as this, so I can have all of the books that I've read over the last 10 years in one place, which I thought was kind of cool. So this is the end of 2024. I only have a few more spaces for a few books, which I think is fine. I don't think I'm going to read this many in the rest of the year. But here is our 2025 reading journal. And I quickly want to talk about the pens and colors that I use in this book journal. I am by no means a professional, so please take all of this with a grain of salt. But in case you're wondering, these are the materials that I'm using. I'm currently using this Jetstream pen. This is from Japan. I just love the way that it writes, and it's been perfect for journaling and like everyday writing, so I'm using that one. And then I'm using two different types of highlighters here. I've got the Tombow highlighters. I bought these in Japan as well. I just love these colors. These are kind of like the main colors of our book journal for the year of 2025. So I'm loving the way that these write, and they have the dual tip, so it has a fine tip at the end, which I love. And then I'm also using this set of mild liners. They are more of a neutral color. I would say the pink is probably the brightest color. They're all a little bit darker than the Tombows, but I kind of like that in case I'm looking for a darker header, so I'm using these as well. But let's go ahead and jump into our reading journal. So our first spread is my 2025 reading log. This is very similar to how I've been doing my reading logs in the past in the front of this notebook, so I didn't want to do anything too crazy here. This is where I love to document all of the books that I'm reading, and I feel like I keep up more with this than I do on Goodreads, so this is my main like documentation of all the books that I read in 2025. And I did leave a few pages blank for more reading logs in the future because I know I'm going to run out of space here. But we have our number of books so I can know how many books I've read, the title, author, pages, date that I finished, and my rating. So this is pretty basic, but I want to know kind of what I'm reading on a monthly basis, or like I can see if I've been reading a lot in a certain period of time. So I thought this would be a good way to do that. Next, we have our book bucket list. Now, I use this kind of as like a bingo card, and I combined some of my own prompts with some reading challenges that I've seen floating around. So I just wanted to do my own bucket list instead of sticking to several different reading challenges because that felt overwhelming to me. So I created my own essential reading challenge for the year, but each square will just be colored in when I read a book of that type. So like this says seasonal read, this is a sequel, we've got 700 plus pages. A lot of these are things that I think will be easy for me to achieve. We have a few harder ones. I think like cover buy might be a little difficult for me, only because I don't tend to just buy books based on the cover. I tend to buy books that are recommended to me, so that might be a little difficult. And I am jumping into the Brandon Sanderson world, so I hope that I can cross this one off. I don't want to put off another year of not reading Brandon Sanderson, so I think this one will be fairly easy, but I am a little concerned about it. And then We've got 800 plus pages. So those are just a few that I have my eye on that might be a little bit more difficult, but overall, like, I think this will be a pretty easy bingo card to fill in for the year. Next up, we have a couple of trackers. I have my monthly tracker in which I will color the boxes based on how many books that I read, so I can see how many books I'm reading each month. This is pretty simple. And then I have a genre tracker, and this one is new to me, but I thought I would try it. And I have a bunch of different genres on here that I might read like 1 or 2 of in the year, but I did want to see how many I do get to in the next year, because I feel like I've been reading more fantasy, romance, and fantasy than I have anything else. Obviously, these have the larger sections on them: romance, and fantasy. But I do intend to read a few nonfiction and memoir, maybe a couple of thriller mysteries. So we'll see what this looks like at the end of the year. I'm curious to see like how many of these smaller genres down here I do end up reading next year. Next up is a page I'm very excited about. These are my 2025 annual stats, and I have it broken down by each month, and then I will total them at the bottom for the year. But we have several different categories that I want to track each month, just to kind of see like what my reading is looking like throughout the year. And I think it's a great example to see like, when am I reading more or when am I reading less, and what I'm gravitating towards throughout different points of the year. So we have books read, physical books, ebooks, audio, ARCs, library books, owned books, Kindle Unlimited, the average pages of each month, any rereads I do, and then average length. I think these are actually the same. That's a mistake. I'm gonna have to fix that. I'm really excited to track my monthly reading this way, because I think it's gonna be like a great snapshot of my reading journey of the year as a whole. Next, we have one of my favorite spreads, and I'm still working on this one actually, but this is the series tracker. So I decided that in 2025, one of my goals is to finish a bunch of the series that I'm in the middle of, because I'm in the middle of so many that it's a little overwhelming for me right now, and I keep starting new ones, which is a problem. So I would love to finish some series, or at least catch up on some series. There are several series listed here that I know are not finished yet, but if I could at least catch up on what is currently out, then I would feel super happy. And then we've got a few that are completed that I have been putting off for a long time. We have the American Royal series by Catherine McGee. We also have Fate and Flame, which I started book 3 and I didn't finish it, so I'm gonna at least try it one more time, and if I'm not into it, then I'm gonna DNF the series altogether. We've got the Zodiac Academy series that I have the last 3 books on. We've got the Addicted Calloway series. There are so many series that I am currently in the middle of, and this is not even all of them. I have 2 blank pages for my series tracker that I need to complete, but this is just the first snapshot of this tracker in my journal, and I love the way it looks. I have gotten some inspiration from Pinterest, and I believe Tori Between Pages has her series tracker set up similar to this as well, and I love the way that it looks, and I think it's very simple, it's minimalist, it does the job, which is perfect for me because I feel like this is going to get a lot of love and a lot of work, so I didn't want to make anything too challenging or difficult for this spread. Next up, we have the physical TBR. Another one of my goals for my reading in 2025 is to read down my physical TBR. So I'm going to be writing all of the books that are on my physical TBR on here and then highlighting them when I read them, because it's feeling a little overwhelming right now, and I'm hoping this will help me track and kind of get a glimpse of like how I'm doing on reading my physical TBR. But I made this little Dutch door here, so I have more pages. And it felt like a better way than taking out multiple pages throughout the book. So this will be my physical TBR for 2025. And hopefully by the end, every book on this list will be highlighted. The next spread is pretty basic. We've got our rereads. I would love to do some more rereading this year. And then we have our Hall of Fame. These will be like 4.5 and 5-star books that I read throughout the year. I honestly didn't have that many in 2024, so I'm hoping to have a few more this year, but I'm also trying to be a little bit more picky in 2025. So I'm hoping we'll have more 5 stars and less 3 stars, which is what happened this year. And for my rereads, I am planning on rereading the Throne of Glass series this year, and probably a few romances that I really love that would be perfect for summer reads. So those will be highlighted over here. As I read them, I'll just list them out. So this is pretty basic. Next up, we have a 2025 new releases spread. I broke this out by month and then wrote down all of the books that I listed in my 2025 new releases video down here. There are already a few more that I found that I want to add to this list. So this is by no means like a comprehensive list of new releases. We also have much more in the first half of the year than we do in the second half. Like I don't have any written for September or December yet. So these will get filled in as we go on throughout the year. And then I'm planning on highlighting this little bubble in the beginning of the title when I do read that book, because I want to be able to track if I'm reading the new releases that I'm excited about coming out for the year, or if I'm just excited about them and then they sit on my shelf. So I'm hoping this will be a good indicator of what I'm reading and when I'm reading it. Next, I love tracking all the Kindle Unlimited books I read. Every year on my Instagram, I do a recap of all the Kindle Unlimited books I read for the year, and I usually break them out by trope, which is kind of fun. But this year I decided to do it in my bullet journal as well, and I love this little cutie bookshelf moment. I didn't do this for my overall reading log because it felt extraneous, but I love the idea of having all of my Kindle Unlimited titles in one page. So I just decided to do one half because I could see from here like when I fill this up and how many more books I need. If I need to add another shelf or what have you, I can do that. So currently I just have one side of the page drawn out, and if I fill this up earlier than I think I will, then I can adjust on this page with the number of books that I write in. But I'm really excited about this spread because I love seeing how many Kindle Unlimited books I use. Since I do pay for the service, it's cool to see how I'm using that service. Next up, we have the 25 books to read in 2025. This is from my video earlier on in BOOKMAS as well, and then I will color them in as I read them. I'm hoping by the end of 2025, this page will be completely colored. We are getting to the end of our generic spreads here. The last one we have is my book club page, which I'm a part of 2 different book clubs, and I just wanted to track the books that I'm reading for book club as opposed to the books that I choose to read for myself. So that's why I did this really basic spread here. And then I'm obsessed with this page. I think it turned out so cute. These are the books that I want to read this winter. So it's just my winter TBR. I have a couple others that I need to add here, but essentially these are just the books that I want to read throughout this season, and then I will check them off as I read them. I just think this looked so cute. I love the little shadow boxes. So I'm really excited about this list. I think that there's some chunky books on here, so I'm a little worried, but I'm also very excited because this is turning out to be a great start to the beginning of my 2025 reading. And last but certainly not least, I have the beginning of my January monthly spread. I am going very basic with this page because I want to see how I like this before I add to it, but essentially my plan is to write down my TBR from my TBR video here, and then any other hopefuls I have, maybe some books from my winter TBR or buddy reads that I do, or anything that I'm just kind of in the mood for here. I also will document my weekly videos, kind of plan those out for the month, and then I think here I'll do like my best book of the month when I finish it. And I want to leave this page blank because I'm hoping to do more of like a journaling style, or like write out quotes that I love or things that I'm feeling about the books that I'm reading throughout the month. And if that doesn't work for me, I will change it in the next month. But those are my current journaling plans. And then I will also be including spreads for like readathons, and if I'm doing a lot of weekly readings, and if I do like a certain video where I need to track my reading, like a 24-hour readathon, or I'm reading a certain number of pages a day, I would love to do spreads for that. But right now it's pretty basic. I'm really into it. It seems easy. It feels manageable. So I'm really looking forward to a wonderful year of journaling. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite spreads are and if I should add them to my journal as well, because I'm loving this journey for myself and I feel like I'm going to get really into it this year, at least fingers crossed that I do. So hope you have a wonderful day and hopefully I will catch you in the next video.